During this session, I'm going to talk about the data that are summarized in the PEPR for partial hospitalization program. So when you look at your PEPR, you'll notice that, or you may see the PEPR statistics, and you need to know that they're calculated based on traditional Medicare fee-for-service claims as identified by the UB04 claim that's been submitted to your Medicare administrative contractor for Medicare reimbursement. We identify these claims for inclusion in the PEPR based on specific inclusion criteria, which are listed on this slide. They have to be final action claims submitted by the PHP. The Medicare claim payment amount must be greater than $0. Now, we do include Medicare secondary payer claims as long as the Medicare claim payment amount is greater than $0. Now, the PEPR does not include HMO claims, Medicare Advantage or Medicare Replacement, any of that. We're only summarizing traditional Part A Medicare fee-for-service claims. And we also exclude canceled claims. I would encourage you to take a look at the PEPR User's Guide, which is available on pepperresources.org for the data specifications related to these criteria. And it is important for you to consider these inclusion criteria as well as the target area numerator-denominator definition if you are attempting to identify your episodes that are summarized in your PHP PEPR. So when you look at your PEPR, you'll notice that the statistics are organized into 3 12-month time periods based on calendar year. Now, the calendar year runs January 1st through December the 31st, and so we organize those statistics into each of those 3 calendar years, and that would be based on the day or the last day that the episode of care ends. So the PEPR that is referred to as version Q4 CY15, or the fourth quarter calendar year 15, that release summarizes statistics for the PHP episodes that end between January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2015, again reflecting those 3 calendar years of 2013, 2014, and 2015. Each time we produce a new PEPR, the oldest time period rolls off as we add the newer time period. And also, each time we produce a PEPR, we refresh the statistics. We go to the Medicare claims database and we download all of the claims data for those 3 time periods, and so all of the statistics are updated with each release of the PEPR. So you might notice slight changes in the numerator or denominator counts from one release to the next, and that would occur if there were late claims submitted or adjusted claims, that type of thing. So the numerator and denominator counts might change just a bit, and you also might see percentile values change slightly from one release to the next. So I've mentioned that we use episodes of care to report the PHP statistics in the PEPR. Because a beneficiary may receive PHP services for varying lengths of time, from 1 day to several months, we create an episode of care from the claim submitted by the PHP for a beneficiary to represent one episode or one course of treatment. So this would be analogous to a hospital discharge. To identify an episode of care, we obtain all the claims submitted by that provider for a beneficiary, and then we sort them from the earliest claim from date to the latest. There must be no break in service of more than 7 days between one claim and the next. If there is a gap between one claim's through date and the next claim's from date of 8 or more days, then that is considered to be a break in service. The first episode would be ending, and we would count that as the beginning of a new episode if there's a gap of 8 or more days. We count the episode in the time period or the calendar year in which it ends. That is the through date on the last claim in the beneficiary's episode. We collect the claims for 1 year prior to each time period so that we can evaluate longer episodes of care. Let me give you an example of how we use these claims to identify episodes of care for beneficiaries. In this example, you can see in the first column that these are all for the same beneficiary, beneficiary A, and we have numbered the claims submitted by the PHP in the second column. So you can see that this PHP submitted 11 claims for this beneficiary over a span of about 10 months. The next two columns represent the from and through dates, followed by the gap in days between claims, and the next column identifies the episode of care, and the last column identifies the length of stay for the episode. So you can see that the first 4 claims are combined to form one episode of care because there was not a gap of 8 or more days between any of these claims. There was a gap of 95 days between claims 4 and 5. So claim 5 represents the beginning of a new PHP episode of care for this beneficiary. The first episode of care ends January the 20th, 2015, and so that would be counted in calendar year 2015. The second episode ends August the 26th, 2015, and it would also be counted in calendar year 2015. So even though episode 1 in this example started before the calendar year, all of the services that beneficiary would be counted for that episode in calendar year 2015. So while we're talking about the data in the PEPR, you do need to be aware of a data restriction imposed by CMS, which requires that we suppress the provider's statistics from being displayed when the numerator or denominator count is less than 11 for a target area in any time period. When the numerator or denominator count is less than 11, the PEPR will display blank cells for that particular time period, and it may appear that there is data missing in the PEPR. In some cases, entire target area reports may not have any data. In addition, jurisdiction or state percentiles are not calculated if there are fewer than 11 PHPs that have reportable data for a target area and a time period in the jurisdiction or in the state. In those instances, the percentiles would not be reported and users would see blank cells. So if you see missing data in your PEPR, as in the sample images here, either in the graph, the data table, or in the comparison data table, it is due to this restriction and not to any error or problem in the PEPR itself. I should add that it is possible that a PHP does not have a PEPR available to it. This would occur if the numerator count was less than 11 for all of the target areas and all of the time periods in the PEPR. And lastly, I do get the question sometimes about why the statistics in the PEPR are so old, and so I thought I would spend a moment to just explain how we process the claims data. When we generate the PEPR, we want to make sure that the claims data that are summarized there are accurate and complete. And so we have to wait 4 months after the most recent month in a reporting time period before we download the claims to analyze them for inclusion in the report. After 4 months, that most recent month in the time period, the claims data are about 95% complete. And so with that, we would feel that we are including an accurate and complete picture of the statistics in the PHP PEPR. So data for calendar year ending December 31st are downloaded the end of the following April. The data processing, the quality checks, report production, and distribution require an additional 3 months. And so by the time we get the PEPR to you, some of the data are about 6 months old for the most recent month in the PEPR.